Hello and welcome back to the World Championship in Through the Ages. Today we are going to take a look at the last game for me of this stage, which will be a two-player game against DiddleySquat. The outcome of this game won't change anything for the standings, but it could still have an influence on which seeding basket I will be in for the next stage, and of course it also counts towards the clicker rating, and for some parts of the game it was not known whether this game will have an influence for the standing or not. And yeah, so now without further ado, we are going to take a look at the game. I'm playing in the second position in this game, and first of all we can take a look at the leaders and wonders. And we can see that there is a Hollywood in the game, however not any, actually no theater leaders in H3, so no Chaplin, Marlene Dietrich or Fleming, but there is Bach in H2 and Anthony Gaudi, so there are some culture leaders in H2, there is the Hollywood in H3, so there is some culture synergy there, but also not that much, so yeah. That is of course always important to take a look at. In two-player games we have some science leaders with Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein, Pierre is there as well as Mandela, Churchill is there, no Gandhi, the Red Cross is there and spaceflight. In H2 we have ocean liner service but no Maria, we have the Suez Canal and James Cook, so going for a colony strategy can definitely work. We have Nobel there, no Newton. And then we have in H1 the Silk Road but no Universitas, Forbidden City but no St. Peter's Basilica, Machu Picchu is there, we have one military action leader in H1 and in H2 with Catherine and Jan Žižka. Eleanor is there, Gutenberg and Leonardo, both for some lab and printing press synergy, and then there is Saladin and Genghis Khan. DiddleySquat is in the first position. He maybe doesn't have the most amazing options to choose from, and he just goes with Cleopatra, and she's definitely a fine leader, but it also means that I'm guaranteed to get Confucius, so I definitely wasn't unhappy to see it. But yeah, also not that much that DiddleySquat can do about it. He could of course not go for Cleo, but then if he wants to take Confucius away from me, he has to take him for 2 civil actions, and maybe at the end it is not worth it, especially because there could still be Hammurabi coming out of the deck. Now it's my turn, and as you can see I actually will just go for urban growth and rich land. I could of course just take Rome roads, that would have the advantage that DiddleySquat for now can't take a wonder. He has Cleopatra, so he wants to have a wonder, but there would be 5 new cards revealed, so it's very likely that one wonder would be revealed. If only the Colossus would be revealed, then I think that could definitely work out fine. If I take the Rome roads away, then I could play with Confucius and Rome roads against DiddleySquat, who has to go for Cleo, maybe build a lab, but then he can't that easily use her every turn with the stages of the Colossus being very expensive. But there's also a relatively high chance that just a library would come out, and if I commit to Rome roads now, then DiddleySquat can now just start with building the lab. He doesn't have to be concerned that the library will be taken away. Maybe I could let it stay on 3 civil actions, but yeah, so it could definitely be fine to just take the Rome roads, but now that the Rome roads are available for DiddleySquat for 1 civil action, he might just go for them, and it might be a fine start. But either he starts working on them immediately to get all of those civil actions out of the way very quickly, and to maybe make use out of Cleopatra every turn, but it comes at the cost of delaying the economy, so I don't like this approach too much, so I wouldn't be that unhappy to see if he goes for that, or he starts with building the lab, but then it's not that easy to build the first stages and the mines. He maybe again has to skip some economy, and if he doesn't start with the Rome roads, then it's just a bunch of civil actions, and in 2-player games I think that can be a bit problematic. If there are some early strong cards coming down the road, and maybe you want to take one of them for 2 civil actions and not leave that card for your opponent, but then it could be a bit tricky, so I just thought that I am fine if DiddleySquat goes for Cleopatra and Rome roads, and I was just hoping, or I can get Confucius at my next turn. I was just hoping that maybe the library will come out of the deck, and that DiddleySquat doesn't wait for the library. That would be risky because he really needs a wonder, so I was hoping that he will go for the Rome roads. And if the Colossus comes out and not the library, then that would also be fine, because there's James Cook and Suez Canal in the game. I will very likely go for Confucius, so the deck might flip very quickly, so the Colossus might also just be a very fine wonder. And if it a very unlikely case should happen that both of them stay in the deck, then I have a leader that produces some additional science, and with that I think it's also just fine to skip the HA wonder. And getting urban growth and rich land is basically very similar to just getting engineering genius A, so that is still not bad, even though of course I didn't spend any civil actions on taking a leader or wonder yet. I didn't like to commit to the Colosseum, a wonder that I really don't like that much in 2-player games. now there's some new cards revealed, and as you can see, the library does come out of the deck, but is very, no, just barely. And also Hammurabi comes out of the deck, so at my turn I could also think about going for Hammurabi. DiddleySquat goes for the Roman roads, doesn't want to wait for the library. Maybe it could have been an idea, but he just goes for Roman roads, is willing to spend 1 civil action to take the rich land. It is of course a bit expensive, especially with the 4 civil actions from the Roman roads, but on the other hand it allows him to build a mine at the next turn and the first step of the Roman roads. And yeah, with that I think that should be a fine decision. My turn I made the decision to go for Confucius. Of course Hammurabi is also quite a strong leader, but I would have to pay an additional civil action now. There is Suez Cannon and James Cook in the game, and with that missing out on some draws maybe hurts a little bit more, because it really shuts down the door for a colonization strategy very much, and it could also enable DiddleySquat a lot easier to maybe win a colony without too much effort. And Confucius of course also just very strong. The science is very helpful, and I can maybe put some events into the deck and have some knowledge about the event deck. Now I have to make a decision whether I want to build a mine or the lab first, and I made a decision to build a mine first, because I have some additional science already with having Confucius as my leader. I very likely will take the library at the next turn, which also will produce me some additional science, and also there's a printing press coming down the row. It doesn't have the biggest synergies, but there's Antony Gaudi, and at the end there's the Hollywood, so it could still be a fine card to go for. If there isn't anything else which is interesting, I could just even build 1 printing press and take the library at the next turn, and with that I made a decision to go for the mine first, and then I can decide whether I want to go for printing press or a lab. And I also have more resource to work with, which could maybe mean that I can finish the library more quickly. I draw the knowledge of the ancients and the inhabited territory. DiddleySquat increases population, builds the 3rd mine, and also 1 step of the Rome roads. Thanks to the rich land he has enough resources to do both. And then with his last civil action he doesn't want to spend a civil action to take the stockpile, which is very understandable with having the Rome roads, and so he just increases his population, and if he finishes the Rome roads at the next turn then he will be out of consumption again, so it's maybe not too bad that he goes early into consumption here. At my turn I make a bit of tricky decision, because I actually seeded the inhabited territory 1 into the deck, which definitely can backfire quite a bit. There is a Suez Cannon and James Cook in the game, and so that can definitely backfire. I have no colonization card in hand yet, I have no knowledge if maybe I or DiddleySquat will get a cartography. But the thing is, I made a decision to go for the Silk Road this turn, and then the knowledge of the ancients just gives a little bit more value to DiddleySquat, and also I have already some additional science with Confucius in the Silk Road, and then the additional science that DiddleySquat gets might also just be even more helpful for him than for me. Maybe I should have just seeded the knowledge of the ancients. It's just a lot safer. The inhabited territory can backfire quite a bit, but at least I have the knowledge about it. Maybe that gives me a bit of an edge, and I have better chances to win it. I can prepare for it, and just also has a big upside potential. So if I should win it, I have a colony for the Suez Canal, I have 2 additional yellow tokens, so at the end I was willing to seed it, but it's definitely a bit tricky, and maybe I should have just accepted to put a slightly worse event for me into the deck, instead of putting a very swingy one into the deck. But as said, maybe I have an edge because of having the knowledge about it, and with that at the end I put it into the deck. The event revealed is the development of warfare. Before that was revealed, an option could have been to just take the Silk Road, build a step, and then build the 2nd lab with the urban growth. But I'm not sure if I would have even done it, because there's also a masonry which works very nicely together with the Silk Road. In general, it is quite a nice card to get if you can use it in your first round immediately. I have some additional science, it will save me some resources, maybe some more civil actions. There are some interesting wonders in Age 2 where the masonry can save me some civil actions, so I really wanted to get the masonry in addition to the Silk Road, but if I take the masonry, then the Silk Road would be discarded, so I also kinda have to take the Silk Road already this turn for 2 additional civil actions. Of course I could also still just go for the library, that's definitely something I also considered, but I think the Silk Road at the end is just stronger. It also produces me 1 additional science, but 2 additional culture, which definitely can make a difference, and also the additional bonus for the yellow cards can definitely add up over the game, so even though it takes more civil actions, I was willing to take it, and at least I have the masonry, which will make it a bit less costly to go for all of those steps, and not really less costly, but after I have finished it I have the masonry already And so I took the masonry, and then to get out of corruption I could either build the first step of the Silk Road or I can increase my population. I think both options could be fine. I don't like going early into consumption that much, so I could maybe choose to build the first step. But at the end I actually make the decision to increase my population already. I don't remember exactly what my reasons were, because now with going into consumption earlier it could be a bit tricky if there are no events revealed that give additional food to build my second lab in the near future, now that I've taken the free warrior from the event, which I really wanted to take, especially because of the colony I put into the deck. And yeah, but yeah, at the next turn I could potentially now just develop the masonry, finish the Silk Road, and yeah, but if this is my plan, maybe I should build a step this turn, but I will also see it, and could be a free religion, an event that is maybe a bit more swingy in two-player games, because the cultural production is a bit more important. And yeah, at the end I just went with increasing my population, but I don't know if there maybe was a very specific reason, or if yeah, or if I just wanted to be prepared for the development of religion. There are also some alchemies coming down the road, which could potentially be interesting. And then DiddleySquat sees the development of markets are revealed, and he will go for Gutenberg, can elect him, finishes the Rome roads, uses Clio again, and then he can use the free civil action to take the alchemy with Gutenberg, so that works out very nicely. He has now finished the Rome roads quite quickly, has a decent economy going, and can at the next turn get some activations out of Gutenberg. This turn I will actually put a Knowledge of the Ancients into the deck, so now I will actually commit to it, because I won't go for the iron this turn, meaning that DiddleySquat maybe can go for it, especially if there should be an additional, if there should be an event reveal that gives some additional science to him, because then he could even go for the iron immediately, while also developing the alchemy with Gutenberg, and then it might just be revealed while he has already iron upgrades and I don't have any, and then the new deposits could be quite bad. I didn't want to commit a very bad strength events in there, and so now I made a decision to put a Knowledge of the Ancients into the deck. The development of politics is revealed, some additional cards for everyone. I have now at least one colonization cards, that could be quite important, or it could be quite important how many I will draw because of the inhabited territory in there. And then, as you can see, I will actually take the alchemy. I could also just develop the masonry, finish the Silk Road, that could be an idea. I could also just build my second lab normally, maybe take the breakthrough, which gives me 3 science with the Silk Road, so that could be quite nice. But I was eyeing Leonardo, who is coming down the row here, who definitely could be quite a strong leader. I could go for a lot of science production with him, the alchemies and the Silk Road, which hopefully should allow me to go for some nice stuff, maybe easily go into a government form if I would like to. And also, if I don't take him, there are still some leaders left. Saladin is of course a very solid one. Genghis Khan and Yanchishka, I don't really know yet how nice those could be, because I don't have a tactic yet. But Saladin could be nice, but I also don't know when Saladin will be available. Leonardo will be available at the next turn for 1 civil action guaranteed. And so at the end I made the decision to go for the alchemy. I will develop the alchemy, and I can increase my population. Building 1, I don't use the urban growth yet, because the next turn I could just go for a turn like take Leonardo, develop the masonry, build the first step, and then I can go for 1 more upgrade for free using the urban growth. And so that could be quite a nice turn. It could get disrupted if there are some additional resources revealed, but if not, then that could be a very nice turn to go for. And yeah, and that would even mean that actually not, I think. I have now 4 resources at the next turn, and I will build the first stage for 2. I think I actually have enough resource to then guaranteed finish the Silk Road in 2 turns, so then I could just maybe go for some very nice science upgrades, which will hopefully also help me to get a lot of the other stuff done very quickly. I keep the colony in hand and a colonization card. If I should manage to win the inhabited territory, then just having another colony in hand could be nice. In case I maybe get a cartography, I can seed it into the deck, and it also could serve as a backup colony, so that if there is an early Suez Canal, maybe I can just take it, and I don't risk missing completely out in a colony, even though getting wealthy 1 with the Suez Canal is of course not that strong. DiddleySquat will use Gutenberg, takes the iron, and there's no additional signs for him revealed, so he can't go for the iron, and now he has to make maybe a bit of an awkward decision here, because he goes for an upgrade, which is not bad. It gives him some additional science production. Now it gets him out of corruption, and that he didn't really have a nice other way to get out of corruption, apart from maybe building a religion, but there could still be a free religion revealed. And so he goes for an upgrade now, but of course that means that he might have less Gutenberg activations for the next turns. And then he also takes the knights and reveals the fighting band tactic, which could be helpful for him to win the colony, so I was not too happy to see that. Of course I want to seed again, and this turn I put the enslave into the deck. I still don't want to commit to a strength event, I don't want to put a colony into the deck, and so the one science event from Confucius should be the best to put in there. And the development of planning is revealed now. The options for that are development of agriculture, civil life, and science. I will choose the development of civil life, will use it to develop the masonry, and then I can go for Leonardo, elect him. Now I don't get a resource when developing the masonry, but I still wanted to save the civil action, because that will allow me at the end of my turn, after having gone for one step of the Silk Road and one upgrade to the alchemy, to take the irrigation, let the other irrigation stay in 2 civil actions, so that DiddleySquat has to pay a little bit if he wants to get it. There is Ocean Liner service and 1 copy of selective breeding, so it's not maybe you can just skip it, but there's always a bit of a risk if you skip the irrigation in 2-player games, so I was just happy to have the option now with the development of civil life to take the irrigation for myself and let the irrigation, the 2nd copy, stay on 2 civil actions for the DiddleySquat. I will draw 2 cards. I also have now my own copy of Fighting Band, that could be quite nice to have. DiddleySquat seeds. I was hoping that there's no inhabited territory revealed, because DiddleySquat very likely would be able to win it, and luckily the colony is not revealed, instead the enslaves, so we both gain 1 additional science. DiddleySquat will pay 2 civil actions to get the Forbidden City going, goes for 2 upgrade to iron and 1 upgrade to the alchemy, so it's now 4 science production, and so he doesn't pay 2 civil actions for the irrigation, instead 2 civil actions for the Forbidden City. But of course that could be quite an interesting one of him, giving him more civil actions, and also now that the development of religion was not revealed, he ignored unhappy workers, could be quite nice to have. And yeah, so I think that's an understandable decision, instead of paying 2 civil actions for the irrigation, which is not that great of a card. If he gets Ocean Lion or selective breeding, maybe he wants to go for those anyway, maybe just getting something that improves his position by quite a bit. This turn I won't see it. I will want to improve my chances to win the colony, and I also don't want to put this colony into the deck. And then this turn I will finish the Silk Road, going up to 6 science production, also starting a little bit of culture production. And then I have 2 civil actions left. There are some cards that all could be a bit interesting. There's a copy of Swordsman, and now that I want to go for the Fighting Band, it could just be interesting to have. But there's also another copy coming, also another copy of Knights. There is a copy of Drama, and there's Bach and Anthony Gaudi in the game, so could be interesting to have, especially, I mean, I probably will go for the Iron at the next turn, and then maybe going for Opera is fine as well, but the Drama could be interesting, just being able to go for some culture reduction a bit cheaper. And there's also the Warfare, and especially with the colony in the deck, it could be quite nice to have a way to get 1 more military action going. Also the additional strength could be interesting. So I thought about all of those cards. I thought about maybe just taking Warfare and the Drama in hand, or Swordsman and Drama, or just 2 of those cards. But I also didn't want to commit too many civil actions on just taking cards that maybe could be nice, but only as potential options. And at the end I just made a decision to take the Warfare and develop it immediately, and then reveal the Fighting Band tactic, going up to 4 strength. That first of all will make me stronger. There's 1 unknown event into the deck. It could potentially be a strength event, and DiddleySquat could now be afraid of strength events, so maybe he doesn't seed, and then it could maybe take a little bit longer until the inhabited territory is revealed. Maybe that will give me the time to go for the cartography. And also I just draw more cards. Maybe that could mean getting an additional colonization card. And even with investing 5 science into it now, and even if I go for the Iron at the next turn, I will still have 12 science in 2 turns, meaning in 2 turns I am prepared for both government forms that are in H2, because the first H2 cards might be revealed then, so I also don't take any potential boost away from me. And no, so at the end that was my decision. Could also be fine to just take the Warfare in hand for now, but at the end I just thought it could be nice to develop it already. Then I draw some cards, another colony, so if I get a cartography, maybe I can put some of those colonies into the deck. DiddleySquat isn't afraid, he just seeds, and there's actually another colony revealed, a strategic territory. I was willing to go all in into this. It would mean drawing some cards. It would definitely be a bit costly, I don't have that many population, but I also really wanted to avoid that DiddleySquat gets this colony for very cheap. And DiddleySquat is still able to win it, and also still just for one worry, he has a lot of colonization cards in hand, so it's on one hand bad that he gets this colony for cheap, but I also thought it's definitely nice that those colonization cards are gone now, because the inhabited territory is probably the stronger territory. He at least only gets H1 draws, and maybe I have now better chances to win the maybe more important colony, so I wasn't unhappy to see this. DiddleySquat is willing to take the Code of Laws for 3 civil actions, which definitely makes some sense, because we both have a very decent science production, especially I have 6 science production at the moment, so getting a card that gives an additional, the Code of Laws is just a very nice card to invest in. And also now that DiddleySquat takes it away from me, I am kind of locked on 4 civil actions for now. I kind of need a government form or maybe the justice system in H2 to get more civil actions going, and if those cards are late, I could really get some problems potentially. If we could have maybe also let the Code of Law stay on 3 civil actions, I don't think I would have taken it with also the iron coming down the road. I'm having the potential to start some iron production, so maybe that could have been an option as well. But it's maybe also not bad to just make sure that he gets it. And he can develop it already this turn. He builds a warrior, goes for one more iron upgrade, and at the next turn he has just enough resources to finish the Forbidden City. I still don't want to commit to another colony as long as I don't know if I will take the cartography or not, and I will just start some iron production. I can go for 1 upgrade. Sadly, I'm missing 1 resource to go for the second upgrade. I have now 1 civil action left. I could potentially take a yellow card. And a rich land would definitely not be bad, especially with me having the Silk Road, also the cultural heritage, but I mean I have kind of enough science, so I don't want to take that, especially because that would mean that the cartography falls down to 1 civil action for DiddleySquat, but I definitely could think about a rich land, but at the end I just wanted to increase my population. H2 cards will be there soon, and I just thought there might be even stronger cards for me to take than the rich land. And at the next turn I have just enough resources to go for 2 iron upgrades, and then I can maybe still have 2 free civil actions to take something. For example, now I could just go for 2 iron upgrades and take and develop the cartography if I want to. That was definitely a turn that I was eyeing, and if I take the rich land, then I could of course go for 2 iron upgrades, but I think if I use the rich land and don't increase my population, I have corruption issues, and then I can't go for the turn, especially with the cartography scoring me an additional resource for Leonardo. I draw another colonization card, which I was happy to see. That could mean that I have even better chance to win the colony. DiddleySquat sees the colony is not revealed yet, instead a knowledge of the ancients, giving sadly DiddleySquat a little bit more value than me, especially now that he has the Forbidden City, but it's also not too big of a swing. He will finish the Forbidden City now, is now on 6 civil actions. That could definitely be an advantage for him. I'm only on 4, so I could really be a bit dependent. My position could be quite a bit dependent on if I should be able to get a government form going as soon. DiddleySquat finishes the Forbidden City, takes the breakthrough, and increases his population. And now after his turn, I get quite lucky here, because as you can see, the Conmon is actually available for me very early. That's definitely quite lucky for me. It is among the first 3 cards, or among the first 4 cards, and I can just go for it immediately. That will improve my position quite a bit. DiddleySquat also would have enough science to go for it immediately. If it would be revealed on his turn, he would get a big boost. The Conmon would be ideal for him, fixing his military actions and giving him even more civil actions to work with. So I think that is quite an important drop for me, and definitely quite lucky. And of course I go for the Conmon immediately, will develop it, and after that I will go for 1 upgrade. I could now still take a card, the cartography is still there, but I was just hoping that with having 2 colonization cards now, I have a decent chance anyway. The colony might be revealed before I can develop the cartography anyway, and so I was not willing to take the cartography. I also was not willing to take the rich land. I just wanted to get another upgrade going immediately and have again some free civil actions. There could be some interesting cards like Suez Canal or Ocean Liner Service that I might want to take. Also selective breeding, that could be interesting because DiddleySquat doesn't have a food solution yet and I haven't committed to irrigation yet. Of course, taking swordsman and knights is also a consideration at this turn, but it would mean that the engineering genius falls down to 1 civil action for DiddleySquat, which I didn't like too much. And there are 2 copies of cavalryman, so there should be not a big danger of missing out on those. Of course, there's the danger of missing out on rifleman, but I was willing to take this risk. I can now keep a bunch of cards in my hand. I draw another colonization card, so now I should have really good chances to win the inhabited territory, and also have an H2 colony in hand now, meaning the Suez Canal could already be quite fine now if I should win this. If I should be able to win this inhabited territory, I think I was willing to go all in, selling all of my cards and the army, but I don't have to go all in. I win it for 4+, meaning I can just send 1 warrior away and 2 colonization cards. DiddleySquat, after having missed out on a conman, will just go for the monarchy, which I think is a good decision. He is still already on 7 civil actions, thanks to the Forbidden City, and if he goes for the Republic, he just doesn't know if he has a good chance to get a strategy, and now he is at least also already on 3 military actions, which is quite helpful for him. Then he also has an additional urban building limit, so he can make use out of Gutenberg an additional time, builds an additional lab, is now at 7 science production, takes the navigation, and the engineering genius, and with him having taken the navigation, I probably don't want to seed any of those other colonies into the deck. Now it is my turn, and I, as you can see, will start with taking the justice system. This turn I thought about some different things, but I came to the conclusion that I really want to take the Suez Canal here. It's just I can finish it very efficiently with the masonry. I have now already an H2 colony in hand, so I pay 11 resource, but I gain 9 resources back immediately. There's also a chance that I can maybe draw an even better colony potentially before I want to finish it. But it's also a denial because DiddleySquat also has a colony already, and he just has taken the navigation. It could maybe mean he has seeded a lot of those events in the next event deck, and it could definitely mean that there are some colonies coming, and then he could maybe win even more colonies. The Suez Canal could get even stronger, and I just didn't want to leave this option available for him. I could, instead of going for the justice system, also just take the breakthrough maybe and go for the Suez Canal, and then I could take the justice system at the next turn, develop it with the breakthrough with the Silk Road bonus, so that could be an interesting option. But I just wanted to have this justice system set up already this turn, and that also has a very specific reason, because after developing it and taking the Suez Canal, I can now, with having 7 civil actions already now going this turn, I could at the next turn just finish the Suez Canal for 2 civil actions only, and I still have 5 civil actions left, so even if there's the ocean liner service on this area, on the 3 civil actions area, I could just finish the Suez Canal and take the ocean liner service, and with that take the second very strong wonder away from DiddleySquat and have it for myself, and I could also finish it very efficiently with the masonry, and because of that I thought it's very important to get a justice system going already this turn. I definitely wanted to get it, but with DiddleySquat having the Code of Laws, I could have waited for the next turn, but I wanted to have the option to just finish the Suez Canal and still take the ocean liner service. If then the selective breeding is also revealed at some point at my turn, I could also deny this from DiddleySquat and maybe lock him down on low food production, so I wanted to leave all of those options open. Also, I was, of course, excited now to see if I get maybe some other options, but I don't get another colony, but a wealthy territory could be quite fine to get with the Suez Canal. DiddleySquat tries an aggression, which is interesting. I can defend for certain. I have 5 military actions, and he will actually miss out on 1 draw unless he gets an additional military action going, which he doesn't, so I think it's an interesting decision. Of course, he only misses out on 1 draw. I will have to discard 3 cards, but I can choose the cards that I will discard, and he misses out on random draws, could be so he doesn't know what he will miss out on, so I think I probably wouldn't have gone for it, but maybe he has a strong tactic already and some cards that he wants, so then maybe it could be fine. And he will just go for the ocean liner service. Both the selective breeding and the ocean liner service are revealed for him. Maybe he could just let both of them on the row for me, and then I can't really take both of them, but I could still just take the Suez Canal away, and then he has to work with the selective breeding. Maybe he just really wanted to have the Suez Canal, especially at the ocean liner service, with having the engineering genius, and so he's willing to take it for quite expensive. So now we both have a very strong economical wonder. I have the Suez Canal, and he has the ocean liner service. and he also lets the selective breeding stay on 2 civil actions for me, which I might still want to go for as an upgrade to my irrigation. As you can see, I will actually go for it. I could this turn just finish the Suez Canal. I think that's definitely a fine option, but I also thought maybe I can still wait one more turn, giving me the chance to draw a better territory, and instead of finishing the Suez Canal, getting 2 additional resource production, I can also just go for selective breeding this turn and get a bit of additional food production. I thought that it could definitely be important which turn Bach might be revealed, because he is just a very nice leader to convert the nice economical situation to a lot of culture production, and we both would be prepared for him. We both don't have operas in hand yet, but I will take a copy of opera, and there's still one more copy of opera in the deck, so I thought it might be important when Bach will come out. And if I should get Bach, then just having a bunch of population available is definitely not bad. And also if I play against Bach, it's probably not bad, so I made the decision to go for selective breeding here first. Go for 1 upgrade. I could go for a 2nd upgrade. I would still have enough resource to finish the Suez Canal at the next turn. But I made the decision that I want to spend all of those other civil actions to take some cards. I wanted to have both of those military cards available. I have the Napoleonic army tactic drawn, and now I have already 2 necessary technologies for this. It would just be risky to not take those, then both of those technologies could be denied from me. And now if I should manage to get a rifleman, I can go for this tactic, and if not, at least I have the chance to maybe draw another tactic like fortifications or mobile artillery or hussars, and then maybe work with those. And then, as said, I also want to take the opera, because Bach could be important, and so I want to be prepared for him. I draw some cards, another colonization card, also the war territory in the independence declaration, DiddleySquat seats. I can't bid more than 4 because I have only 1 warrior, so DiddleySquat wins it for very, very cheap, so that's definitely quite nice for him. And just for warrior. Then this turn he will finish the ocean liner service. Also interestingly builds an additional mine. He will have a lot of population with the ocean liner service and also his nice yellow bank. So I definitely think it's a nice move to build this additional mine, going up to 8 resource production. With that he will match my resource production that I will have after I finish the Suez Canal. So we will probably still remain at a very similar economical situation. And so I think that is a very nice move by him. And then to get out of corruption, he will spend some food to increase his population normally, will use the ocean liner service once, builds a warrior to get a bit stronger, and then also takes the breakthrough. Yeah, with that makes it that only 3 new cards are revealed, so he maybe makes it very unlikely that Bach is revealed at my turn. I don't want to see it, and as you can see there's no Bach. I will start finishing the Suez Canal this turn. I will get the wealthy territory, and then after that I have 2 main options that I considered. After getting the wealthy territory, I have quite a lot of resources available, 15 resources, so that's definitely quite nice. And as you can see, I go for the statue. That's of course quite a nice move. I will actually finish the statue immediately, so finishing 2 wonders in 1 turn is definitely quite nice. The masonry is doing quite some nice work, but of course I have to think about if this cool move is also the best move to do in the situation. Alternatively, instead of getting those yellow tokens, I could also just develop the organized religion, build an organized religion, and I don't have the additional yellow tokens, but I have some additional happy faces, I have some fine food production, still a relatively fine yellow bank, and that could be fine to play as well. Yeah, I think it's actually quite close. If I now take the statue for a lot of civil actions and finish it, or if I spend my civil actions on developing the organized religion, I have a lot of science anyway, it costs me an additional resource with Leonardo. Yeah, so it is definitely quite close. But at the end I like the statue a bit more, it just increases my culture production by a little bit. And then maybe if I should get Bach, I can invest into operas immediately. And also if I don't get Bach, I can maybe just build some operas and still maybe keep up a bit with the culture. And yeah, it's a bit risky because all of the happy face solutions will be gone at my next turn, but with having that many yellow tokens in the opera, I was hoping that I can still be fine, and there is a chance that I maybe have the chance to get the bro spots in H3, so it's a bit risky. It was a close decision for me if it is actually best, or if I maybe should just go for organized religion and let the Statue of Liberty stay, and not take the Statue of Liberty. I could still take the organized religion now, but now I just thought, I might not really need it, and there are some very interesting yellow cards that I could take instead, especially with the Silk Road, so I was not willing to take the Organized Religion over one of those yellow cards, and so at the end I took the Rich Land because I have spent now quite some resources on the Suez Canal and the Statue of Liberty. Of course, I got some resources back and I have now some decent production, but I might need to build some of those units. DiddleySquat has already 7 strength. He might go for the strategy, a card that I consider denying, but I have the warfare. If I don't have the warfare, then I think it makes more sense, but there's my also H3 card soon, so I was not willing to deny it, but then DiddleySquat might go for a bunch of strength, so I might need some resource to go for those units. If I want to go for operas, that costs some resource, so I just thought the 4 additional resource that I can get with the rich land might be quite important. Also, alternatively, I could have increased my population to spend a civil action already, but then I go into consumption 1 turn earlier, and also I thought that one of the events seeded by DiddleySquat could potentially be the rebellion. He went for the Forbidden City, he has no problems with unhappy workers, and then it could also be nice to not increase my population. And while I did not get a colony, maybe that gives additional yellow tokens for the Suez Canal. Now, with getting the wealthy territory, I had enough resource to go for the Statue of Liberty and get my yellow tokens from there. So I thought it was quite a nice turn to go for this double wonder, and I think it's also actually quite strong for me in this position. I do get another colonization card and a colony, but with DiddleySquat having navigation, I probably still don't want to commit a colony into the deck. DiddleySquat seeds, there's no rebellion, instead a pestilence. We both have some pre-population, and so it probably doesn't hurt us that much. DiddleySquat will go for the strategy. This turn goes up to 10 strength, will develop the knights, doesn't want to wait for cavalryman, and then he will build 1 knight. Place the phalanx, tactic is now at 14 strength, is putting some pressure on me. Bach isn't revealed yet, he takes the opera and also the frugality. If he doesn't take the opera, the question is what else does he want to take? Then he maybe could take the reserves and the frugality, or maybe organized religion, but if he takes the frugality, then opera would be discarded, so at the end he maybe just makes the decision to take the opera already this turn. That means that there are some new cards revealed, so there's some chance bigger than 50% that Bach will now be revealed on my turn. But there is still Catherine and James Cook that DiddleySquat could go for, so it maybe would not be too bad to miss out on Bach, and at least I would have to take him for quite expensive if I want to go for Bach. And with being at 14 strength, he is also putting some pressure on me now, so it might not be that easy for me to go for Bach for 3 civil actions if he's available. This turn I will actually see it. Of course I'm the weaker player, but I will also stay weaker. But I will increase my population this turn, and that will mean that after my turn I will have an unhappy worker, and as I said, I had just thought a rebellion could be an event in there. It could of course also be that it means that this H2 card is revealed earlier. It could be a strength event, so it could also backfire seeding, but I just thought there could be the rebellion, and if there is the rebellion, it's very nice to reveal it now instead of the next turn. And I had right instinct here, and the rebellion is actually in the deck, so I was very happy to see this out. And then at my turn I have to think about what I want to do with the leader situation. Both Nobel and Catherine could be fine leaders for me, and I probably want to go for one of them now because DiddleySquat can get Bach if he wants to. I still did consider not taking any of those, because that would at least mean that DiddleySquat has to pay for Bach if he wants to have him. And if he doesn't go for him, there is still James Cook, who also would score me a bit of culture, but I would lose Leonardo, I would not get a civil action back, so it would also be more costly for me. And so I just thought it might just be better for me to take one of those leaders for very cheap this turn and also get a civil action back. Also get their benefits maybe going a little bit quicker. But it was actually quite a close decision for me if I should go for Nobel or for Catherine. I was leaning towards Nobel for a while. I just needed a popularization of science into the deck, so even though Catherine scores me a bit of additional culture, Nobel also does if the event is revealed while I still have him, and Catherine gives me the military action, but Nobel gives me some additional strength, and so I thought it was quite close between them. But maybe we can also first take a look at my turn. I will just increase my population a bunch of times. I have now a lot of free population. I will upgrade my second farm for free with the rich land and the Silk Road bonus. And then of course I also have to get stronger, and I will commit to the cannons. That's just nice for a lot of tactics, so even if I miss out on Rifleman, there's a good chance maybe that I can at some point still get a tactic where the cannons are relevant, and that also at least I can use this as an outdated tactic if needed. I go for one cannon with my colonization cards, and even only with one I can defend, so I didn't want to commit more resources and population into those units. And then as you can see I actually go for Catherine. The thing is, Nobel has two disadvantages that at the end let me go for Catherine. First of all, there will be Nobel Prize at some point. I might be able to prepare for those, but I don't know it yet. And at the moment, DiddleySquat has a lot of science saved up, while I have spent some science now this turn. And so I could maybe prepare for it, but at the moment it's looking better for DiddleySquat, and of course he also can prepare for it. So I thought Nobel Prize might be better for DiddleySquat than for me, and then there's also of course the case that Nobel doesn't give the civil action back, which I think is definitely quite relevant and makes him quite a bit weaker than he would be otherwise. So it's quite late now. There are not that many age 3 leaders that would be strong for me immediately, but it could still be the case, for example Mandela, or if I got computers, one of those science leaders. If I get pro sports, maybe Pierre Churchill could just be a very fine leader. There's definitely the chance that I might want to go for an age 3 leader very quickly if there is one that I can work with. And then I have my leader only for a few turns, and then that not getting the civil action back from Nobel, only to get Nobel Prizes that maybe could favor DiddleySquat anyway, is definitely quite a big factor. So even though I thought Nobel is maybe a bit stronger for me, especially with the popularization of science coming, because of those two reasons I at the end went for Catherine instead, which is a bit problematic, because that means that when I also take the Patriotism now, a card that I wanted to have, there will be 5 cards revealed, and there are 2 cards that I really would like to see on 3 civil actions on DiddleySquat's turn, and that are Bach and the Rifleman, and now there is definitely a chance that one of those cards could be on 2 civil actions, so that was an argument towards Nobel, but at the end I still wanted to go with Catherine, and I also wanted to have this Patriotism, because if DiddleySquat goes for Bach, maybe if I should get the Rifleman, I have the chance to go for the Napoleonic army, and I have the chance to draw some H3 tactics. There is a chance that I can maybe set up some military as a counter, and then the Patriotism could be quite nice to have. And at least I'm now at 6 culture production with Catherine, so I'm getting a little bit of a lead at the moment, so DiddleySquat maybe at least has to catch up a little bit before he can start generating a lead with Bach for himself. I draw another tactic, also the historic territory. And now H3 starts. I was happy to see that both Bach and the Rifleman are on 3 civil actions. And there's an early Churchill revealed, which I was definitely eyeing, because he would score me 1 more culture than Catherine, and if I should go into military heavy direction, then he could really save me a lot of science to go for those cavalrymen, Riflemen, in case I should get those, and air forces. So Churchill I thought could be a very interesting leader for me, and I might even consider going for him already at the next turn. DiddleySquat first goes for another aggression. This time it definitely does have an effect. I can only keep few cards in hand. I have to use a defense card, but at least he also doesn't use his politics action to generate something for himself. So I was also not too unhappy about it, especially because I still have 1 more colonization card in hand. And then DiddleySquat will go for the architecture. I think that makes a lot of sense. With that he can save a lot of resources when going for the operas. And he doesn't wait for Bach, he will go for the opera already this turn, so it is a bit of a benefit for him that I committed to a leader. He cannot wait for Bach for the next turn, but at least he has to develop the opera now without a science discount, so it also definitely does make a bit of a difference. He will build an additional farm, which is interesting, but it will allow him to increase his population at the next turn one time normally, and then with the ocean liner service an additional time, and he also takes the cannons, otherwise he would be a bit at a risk of not being prepared for tactics at all, especially now without going for the Rifleman. He builds an additional warrior, which is interesting. Could have also built a knight, but maybe he has a tactic already in hand where he wants to have more infantry units. But then maybe he could have taken the Rifleman, or it could be that there's another colony coming, and with me getting rid of a colonization card from me, he was maybe confident that he can even win it for very cheap, and then of course it could make sense to build a warrior instead of a knight. With taking no cards from there, Churchill will stay on 3, so I have to think about if I even want to take him for 3, and I probably don't want to do this, especially with some interesting yellow cards being available for very cheap, and with me maybe also really wanting to have the Rifleman, and that was a card that I really wanted to have. It allows me to go for this tactic, It allows me to go for military counterplay if I want to, and at the moment DiddleySquat is the one who puts a little bit of pressure on me. I won't take those air forces because there are 2 copies. It could still be nice to have one early, but I wasn't willing to pay 3 civil actions to make sure to get this copy. But if I don't take the rifleman, then DiddleySquat could even just go for 2 air forces in a phalanx tactic or something like this, and already it could be a bit tricky without having a way to get a tactic going, so I just think I have to take the rifleman here. There's also an early copy of multimedia, which could be very interesting. I could even still just take the multimedia, develop it, build one. It would be nice, but it also would be quite costly. I would miss out on some of those yellow cards. I would invest heavily into this multimedia, maybe making it less, making it more difficult to maybe still switch into a military direction in case I get the right card. So I didn't want to commit that many civil actions and resources into the multimedia. That means, of course, leaving the multimedia to DiddleySquat, but with going for Bach, maybe wants to go for operas anyway, and instead of going for the multimedia, I made the decision to go for the opera this turn. That also increases my culture reduction, so I can just generate maybe even a bit more of a lead before DiddleySquat can go for Bach. It also fixed my happy faces. There could be some happy face related events coming. And then I can just spend remaining civil actions to take some cards. The Wave of Nationalism, the Urban Growth, and I don't spend all of my civil actions to take those cards. I will spend 1 civil action to increase my population. That means that I have an unhappy worker now, but I just thought efficient upgrade, I don't know for certain if I can use it. In Engineering Genius, I don't know for certain if I can use it as well. Now I have just enough food to increase my population 2 times the next turn, then another time in a future turn. Also the Red Cross is coming down the row, which I was eyeing, and also for that I would have in 2 turns 12 food available, which could allow me to go for that. Could of course leave myself with even more food, but I just didn't want to take another yellow card and instead wanted to increase my population. And then of course I also have to be a bit concerned about the strength, which because of that I committed to another cannon. I'm going up to 8 strength, and thanks to the additional colonization card that I have in hand, I can again defend against an aggression if the DiddleySquat should go for one. Churchill falls now down to 1 civil action for the DiddleySquat. I could definitely take him, and I really thought that the Churchill could be quite nice for me here, with maybe wanting to develop some of those technologies anyway. And Catherine is fine, but also not really amazing for me. So I was hoping that I might get Churchill at the next turn, especially because all of those other leaders need some setup that I don't have yet. I don't have computers, I don't have pro sports, I don't have a way to generate a lot of happy faces for Mandela. Mandela would be fine, maybe just because of the civil action, but Churchill might just be at the moment a leader that I can get the most value out in the most easiest way. After my turn, the first H3 turn is completed, so we can take a quick look at the overview, and we can see that I have a little bit of a culture lead at the moment. I still have more production. The DiddleySquat will now be able to go for Bach, but I also can build more operas. Catherine is producing me also a bit of culture. If I should go for Churchill, he might produce me a bit of culture. I maybe have a chance to go for the Red Cross the next turn. Maybe the multimedia could still be there. So I was not unhappy about my position, even though the DiddleySquat will be able to go for Bach. And I draw actually quite a bunch of impacts: balance, population, wonders. But I actually also have to discard quite a bunch of them, because the DiddleySquat again makes sure to take some cards away from me. Maybe just doesn't have a nice event to see it, or maybe was hoping that the aggression could actually go through. But I have another colonization card. I can't keep that many cards in hand, only the tactic and 1 impact, but impact of population against the ocean liner service might be bad anyway, and impact of wonders was also better for DiddleySquat, so it's not too bad, and I can keep the 2 cards that I actually need. DiddleySquat this turn will go for Bach, will elect him, increases population 1 time, and normally 1 time with the ocean liner service, builds 1 knight and a warrior, which is very interesting. So he is really putting some pressure on me. He could have also built another opera, but he actually will still go for an additional opera. After taking the Air Force and Engineering Genius, he will go for an upgrade. So he still has a bunch of science saved up, with that he is putting some pressure on me, but also increases his culture production by quite a bit. But him upgrading his lab at least means that the impact of balance should be quite nice. I mean, he is also low in farms, so that for now he doesn't make a difference if he has 6 or 4 science production. And so even though I am the weakest, I was still willing to cede. Put the impact of balance into the deck. There is indeed a strength event atop the international agreement. The DiddleySquat can now maybe take some cards at his turn if he wants to. And the DiddleySquat didn't go for Churchill, and so I made the decision to go for him. And now the DiddleySquat went up to 21 strength, and I have no defense cards left, also only one card in hand. I definitely have to be concerned about my strength. I want to build some military, and now I can just do it very efficiently with Churchill. I can also use the military action from Catherine to reveal the Napoleonic army tactic. I will elect Churchill, use his resources and science to develop the cavalryman, play the wave as long as I'm weaker for 7 additional resources with the Silk Road that allows me to build 2 cavalrymen for free. And that is actually already all that I need. Of course, I could also develop the Rifleman, go for an upgrade. It makes me even stronger than DiddleySquat. But I would commit my science into the Rifleman. I would commit my science into the Rifleman without using Churchill. I would miss out on a draw. There could, of course, be a strength event coming. I might be punished for that. But I wanted to leave myself the option open to go for Multimedia at the next turn. And the amount of strength that I have now is enough to defend, and I will draw 3 cards. Of course, DiddleySquat could again go for an aggression, getting rid of all of my cards, but it would mean missing out on the international agreement, so that would be a perfectly fine outcome for me, even if I should get some nice cards. The big question this turn was if I want to go for the red cross or not. My first instinct was, yes, I want to go for the red cross. I have 12 food at my next turn. I can build 4 stages. DiddleySquat can't build a stage, so maybe I can at the end even get all of the stages. So my first instinct was that I want to go for it, but I just thought about how those next turns might play out, and I really thought that that could also be quite important for me to actually get the additional population instead of investing the food into the Red Cross. First of all, and when I don't go for the Red Cross, I can go for the multimedia at the next turn. If I don't develop the Rifleman now, and the next turn I can develop the multimedia, and thanks to Churchill and with his 3 additional science I can also develop the Rifleman and continue building up some more military. And that increased my culture production, in general my economy, which might translate into some nice impacts. It might also score me some additional points for the popularization of science that I seeded into the deck earlier, so that might just be quite nice. And also maybe it could be very important to have some population available for the military, because DiddleySquat could just build 1 or 2 more air forces, and again I might be a bit in trouble. I could just go for an upgrade Rifleman, but maybe I want to go for more units. Maybe I will draw a war or nice tactics soon, and then I also want to have a lot of population. Of course, I could take the Red Cross, and in case I really need a population, I could still increase my population, and DiddleySquat at the moment doesn't really have a lot of food. I could still maybe get a lot of stages, but it could also be that then I might be stuck on the Red Cross for a while. Maybe it could blockade me from some other potentially strong H3 wonders, and I still also would miss out on a multimedia, so it was a close decision, but at the end I made the decision against the Red Cross. That also allows me to build this additional opera this turn with the urban growth, and increasing my culture production even more, and then I can take the multimedia and the urban growth and maybe get some additional culture production instead of the culture from the Red Cross, get some better preparation for impacts, and maybe also more culture out of the popularization of science. I will draw 3 cards now, and those are 2 aggressions and a tactics, so maybe the entrenchments could be interesting, but probably making use of those cards will be difficult unless I will actually go for a lot of strength. Then maybe those aggressions could come in handy. DiddleySquat doesn't see it. He will use the international agreement to take the fast food chains for free. Has no wonder available, which is actually quite a decent one for him. He has the ocean liner service, has a lot of population, has 4 mines, 3 farms, so that fast food chains is definitely quite a strong one actually. Also allows him to use the engineering genius too very nicely at some point. And as you can see, he will actually go for more strength. Goes for an air force, is now 29 strength. Interestingly takes the mechanized agriculture, which I found very interesting because he invests a lot of science into that. That makes it now quite difficult to maybe go for an H3 government form at some point if you would like to do that, or in general invest into something like multimedia. So I was very interested to see him investing into the mechanized agriculture. Maybe it is because of an impact that he has in hand, or maybe he just wants to get even more population out, which might allow him to score even more points with the fast food chains, and with his last 2 civil actions he then takes the patriotism. That means that the bro sports will be available for me, which could still be a nice card to get some more happy faces going for me. My turn, I can't use my politics phase, and I will just go for the multimedia. I just think it's nice to increase my culture production even more. and also of course my science production for the popularization of science, but I will not only go for the multimedia, but also thanks to the Churchill bonus I can go for the Rifleman, can go for an upgrade Rifleman for free. Well, first of all, I will build one multimedia with the Silk Road bonus with using the urban growth. I will increase my population 2 times, build one Rifleman. Only going for an upgrade I think is not enough to make sure that I can defend against an aggression. Now I can defend against an aggression, but I was not only willing to build one, I was also willing to upgrade one, because DiddleySquat did put quite an effort into getting stronger in the turns before. Maybe it was just to pressure me a little bit, to force me to react, but it could definitely also be that one of those events that he seeded could be a strength event, maybe even both. So I was definitely thinking there might be a strength event in there, and so I just wanted to get stronger now. And maybe that means that the list would have to skip seeding. I don't have any impacts in hand now anyways, and I don't know if I will draw one, so if we fight now over those strength events over the next turns, then maybe it is a bit more beneficial for me, because I don't have any impacts yet, and the DiddleySquat maybe would have has some impacts that he wants to put into the deck. And yeah, so I thought if there are some strength events in there and it ends up in a fight over those strength events, maybe that could favor me. And it's also not that costly to go for this upgrade now. I don't miss out on any draws, and maybe it makes DiddleySquat afraid from the one event that I have seeded into the deck. And so I just made the decision to go for this upgrade already this turn, and then I wanted to go for the bro spots because I don't have any happy face solution, and it's just nice for some impacts and gives me the option to go for some happy faces in case I should draw a war and maybe get air forces. Maybe with the additional strength from the bro spots I could also potentially still pull off something, because the DiddleySquat has invested a lot of science, can't easily go for a lot of military attacks, and with that can't maybe that easily prepare for a lot of strength. And the end of my turn, I'm now at 60 culture, so for now I managed to keep my small culture lead, which I was happy about. If I then at the next turn start using Churchill for culture, maybe I can even get a bit of a lead, because the DiddleySquat can maybe build one more multimedia, but can't easily go for more culture reduction, while I have the option to go invest into operas and multimedias if I want to. I draw another aggression, a tactic, and a colonization card, so no impact yet. DiddleySquat doesn't see it. And after taking the revolutionary idea, will play the patriotism, goes for an air force, so that's really looking like there might actually be a big strength event in there. He also upgrades one more lab to the opera, and now that actually is quite a setback for him for the impact of balance and for the popularization of science. Of course, he does know that those are in there, and it is a very cheap way for him to get some more culture production, so it might be the right decision, but with those cards coming, it might also cost him a little bit. He then takes the efficient upgrade, he increases population one turn normally, uses the engineering genius on the fast food chains. Doesn't take the multimedia, which could be an interesting card to invest in, but maybe he just thought that he doesn't have the resource for that. He also invests into another warrior, which again also could mean that there is a colony coming. And then he can maybe have a chance to win the colony while still having a bunch of strength. Or maybe the one strength actually does make a difference for how easily I can get stronger. But I don't know if this is the case. If he is at 37 strength, I also can't overtake him with just going for bro spots, for example. So it might be for a colony, and of course for the fast food chains it could also just go one more point at the end. This turn, with not being able to seed anyway, and I could of course just build some more operas, but I just thought there might be some big strength events in there, or at least one. Maybe there's a colony also seeded. And then I build one bro spots, increase my population, and play the patriotism now. I don't know if I will get another chance to use it very nicely, and so I can build one more unit very cheaply, for a rifleman to go up to 40 strength, and then I take the reserves away. With the reserves I can increase my population at the next turn if I want to. I can also use it for resources in case I still want to try to build a relatively big Hollywood. And with going up to 40 strength, maybe it's not that easy for DiddleySquat to actually get stronger, because of course he can maybe build a knight, but it is not enough to get stronger. He can build a cannon, but if he builds a cannon, he doesn't have that easy. First of all, he doesn't have an easy way to get out of corruption, and also if he invests 5 resources into cannons, and then has corruption, and he doesn't have an easy way out of corruption with having those 4 food saved up, and already 1 blue token on the fast food chains, then investing 5 resources and having corruption means that if he builds one cannon now, he can't finish the fast food chain at the last turn unless he gets one of those yellow cards, which he definitely might get. There are still some left in the deck that might help him, but at least it could mean that if he wants to get strong, he actually has to invest quite a lot of civil actions to take one of those cards, and there could be a chance that none of those cards are on the row, and then he maybe doesn't have any way to get stronger while still being able to finish the fast food chains. So I was hoping that maybe I have a chance to win those potential strength events. I still don't have an impact, and maybe DiddleySquat really wants to start seeding if he has some nice impacts for him. And so I was willing to fight for those strength events. Could instead just build an opera if I end up going for the Hollywood. Maybe it could be better to invest all of my resources that I have available into operas and multimedias. But there's also still the space flight, which also could turn out to be quite a fine wonder for me. I can draw some cards now, and I have now 1 impact in hand, Impact of Industry, which is not that great. DiddleySquat has 1 more mine, but it is at least a seedable impact, so if DiddleySquat doesn't get stronger, maybe I can try to get a potential strength event out of the deck. And I also have a war. I have just enough science to take Develop Air Forces Build 2, and I also wanted to threaten something like this. So DiddleySquat also has to be concerned about war preparation, and with that also going for the bro spot is nice because it gives me more strength, and now I could potentially just go for 2 air forces, and DiddleySquat doesn't know, maybe I could have the modern army tactic and then it could get even a bit more tricky for him, but I also have only 5 military actions. It's a bit misleading because I played a patriotism with the Silk Road bonus this turn, so I can't really do a lot more than going for 2 air forces if I want to go for war, but DiddleySquat has to be concerned that he can reach that amount of strength. So we can see he is actually willing to seed, but none of his events are revealed. Instead, the popularization of science, which I was also happy to see because it gives me 6 additional culture against DiddleySquat. He then increases population with the ocean liner service, takes the endowment, takes the engineering, develops the cannons, and builds 1 cannon. With that, he is again getting stronger thanks to the engineering genius. He can still finish the fast food chains at the next turn and can also get some culture out of the endowment. So I think that looks like a very fine turn. And while he can't really go for any tactic normally, he could potentially have a modern army tactic and can use it outdated, which should be more than enough to defend himself. So going for a war is not really an option for me, even if the air forces should be revealed at my turn. At my turn I will take the space flight. If I don't take a wonder, then DiddleySquat could finish the fast food chains and take the space flight away. It would come at the cost of playing the endowment and doing any other stuff at his turn, so it would be a bit costly, but it should still be worth it. So I have to take a wonder this turn, and the space flight should at the end just be the better one. And then I have 2 civil actions left after that, and the question was what to do with those. And I made a decision to take those satellites, and I just developed those satellites. That has the advantage that it makes me stronger. Also, in case there's a colony coming, that gives some culture, which could still be important, like the autonomous. I think I've drawn the historic one, but autonomous could be in there. Then maybe I have also better chances to win a colony. And it could be nice if there's a strength event in there, but I definitely also consider just taking the satellites in hand and taking another technology. That would allow me to go for an additional technology with the spaceflight, because I expected that the tanks might be taken away. DiddleySquat might have some free civil actions, and then he could take the tanks away, and there are not any other technologies that I have now enough science to invest into. So I thought about something like just taking computers or oil, but especially the oil, because I have Impact of Industry in hand. Maybe I could just go for an upgrade and see this impact into the deck. But I actually came to the conclusion that it is not really worth it, because I actually don't have enough civil actions to do all of the stuff that I want to do, because the next turn I want to finish the space flight, increase my population, build an opera, I think, if I remember it correctly, and then also maybe delete a unit, maybe this rifleman, and build an additional farm, or delete something else if I am afraid if there's the impact of strength in there. And the additional farm gives me 2 additional points for the impact of balance, which is quite nice. And with that, I need a lot of civil actions. Now I can easily do all of this, but if I don't develop the satellites yet and also take another technology in hand that I want to develop at the next turn, then I am missing 1 civil action to do all of this stuff. If I want to increase my population to do it, and with that I develop the satellites, because that makes me stronger. If DiddleySquat has a strong impact, then there is the chance that an impact might be revealed. It might also do not that much, because maybe DiddleySquat doesn't have nice impact, maybe he has drawn the modern army tactic, can just reveal it, get easily stronger like this with not investing anything. And then maybe with only having the impact of industry, I won't see it, so maybe the strength won't make that much, but there is also the chance that it actually makes quite a big difference. Also, for the colony, the satellites could help, so I just wanted to develop it. And again, we can take a look at the culture. I'm now at just exactly 100 culture. I have still a 16 culture lead. We will both get a fine wonder. Yeah, but for now I still have a lead, and DiddleySquat has to now maybe find a nice impact or something to close down the lead. And now I actually draw 2 modern army tactics, so I know now that DiddleySquat doesn't have the modern army tactic, so he maybe doesn't have an easy way to get stronger. So if I can maybe just seed the impact of industry and have the chance to get a strength event out, because DiddleySquat now should not be able to get stronger very easily. DiddleySquat doesn't seed, plays the endowment for 6 culture, finishes the fast food chains for 28 points, so quite a big fast food chains actually. And then instead of building something to get maybe an additional point for the fast food chains, he actually goes for one more upgrade to his farms, which is a big hint what his impact might be. The impact of agriculture. So yeah, that could be the case, which also would make it maybe explain a bit more why he went for the mechanized agriculture in the first place. And yeah, but that's his only impact, and with that I can maybe do see at my turn which impact it could be that could allow DiddleySquat to win the game, and maybe prepare myself as nicely as possible against those impacts. And then DiddleySquat increases population 2 times. With that he doesn't have any uprising issues, and then takes the revolutionary idea, which I think is a mistake probably, because I can't use it, and DiddleySquat could instead just take the tanks away, which takes the option away from me to develop another technology. Of course I could develop one with Churchill, but it would come at a cost of missing out on his culture. So yeah, maybe he just didn't take a close look. Or maybe he didn't have that much hope left, because at my turn I will go into the final impacts with quite a bit of a lead, and if his impact is not a nice one, then maybe he also just didn't see any hope for him. At my turn, of course, you maybe would have expected that I see the impact of industry into the deck, but I thought about which impacts there might be in there, and there's actually no impact that would allow DiddleySquat to win the game. Of course, there are a lot of nice events that I could open. I would get 3 culture for seeding. I mean, the impact is better for DiddleySquat, so it would not really be a lot of additional culture for him. But there are some things that could be bad. There could be an autonomous territory revealed, which could score some additional culture for DiddleySquat. There could be a national pride revealed. There could be an iconoclasm revealed. I think even with those events, there's still no way how DiddleySquat could win this game, but I just didn't saw why I should risk it. Maybe I miss out on an event that I didn't really thought about. So I just, I have a guaranteed win, so why should I risk it? And so I skipped my politics phase, played reserves for resource with the Silk Road bonus, and I actually do take and develop the tanks. At a turn before I said that I don't have enough civil actions to go for another technology, which is also still somewhat true, but it is only true if I want to increase my population, and I just went for this additional technology, built a space flight for 30 points, so quite a nice one, and then instead of increasing my population, I will just disband 2 units, build an opera, build a farm, go for this one upgrade, reveal the tactic. I'm now weaker, so there could be impact of strength, but I will go into the final impacts with a 20 culture lead now, and there's no impact that would close the gap for the DiddleySquat, especially because the impact of balance will make my lead even bigger, so at that point my win is already guaranteed. And then we can see that there is the impact of balance, so I have now a 30 culture lead, and then there's the impact of agriculture. That one was somewhat expected after the DiddleySquat went for the mechanized agriculture and went for the upgrade at the last turn, but that one is not enough to close the gap, and so at the end I am able to win this game. I think in this game I and DiddleySquat had a very similar position for quite a while, similar civil action, similar production. Similar culture for quite a while. Then we both got a strong wonder. I had the Suez Canal, he the ocean liner service. I also got the statue, which the resource cost from that was partly financed just from the wealthy territory that I got with the Suez Canal. So we had a relatively similar position. But at the end of Age 2, I managed to generate a little bit of a culture lead with maybe getting the operas going a little bit quicker, with getting the statue, with getting Catherine a bit earlier. The DiddleySquat managed to get Bach, but Bach was very late, and at that point he maybe wasn't able to get a lot of value out of him, or just first we had to catch up in culture, but I had then got a multimedia. I managed to defend myself with having the Napoleonic army technique, and I think Churchill did a very nice work allowing me to go for those culture upgrades while also being able to develop cavalrymen and riflemen and build some units very cheaply. Made a decision against the Red Cross, and I think the population being able to use those was actually quite important, so I think that turned out maybe to be the right decision. Yeah, but I also definitely got lucky in the early age 2 when I got a Conmon very early. If DiddleySquat would have gotten the Conmon, I think the game definitely could have gone in a different direction. Maybe I could have then have the chance to go to Republic at some point, but there's definitely the chance that DiddleySquat can deny the Republic, or that the Republic is very late, and in this case I am playing with 4 civil actions against 8 civil actions from DiddleySquat, and that could just turn out to be very, very bad. Then I can't easily take the Suez Canal and do all of those nice stuff, so I think that also is part of the truth that I got very lucky there. No, but then after having the Conmon, I just was quite happy how I managed to develop my civilization. Yeah, so that was this 2-player game, the last game of the stage. We can now take a look at the final standings. There will be no surprises, but maybe it's still nice to see how the standings look at the end. And in the final standings, as you can see, I have now 36 points. So I'm very happy about the stage went for me, about the result that I managed to achieve. After the first 4-player game where I finished 2nd place, I managed to win all of those games. So yeah, definitely things went quite nicely for me in the stage, and I'm happy to continue playing in the upper bracket, and hopefully also, I am now in the top seeding basket, and actually the groups are also already seeded. The games of the next stage have just started yesterday, I think, so yeah, the next stage is now already ongoing, and it might take some time until the first games will be finished, but there are some more World Championship games coming at some point. And yeah, DiddleySquat and Allfather will be able to play in the lower bracket of the next stage. Kmaku will is sadly eliminated. He at least managed to win his last 2-player game against DiddleySquat, and with that, it's actually quite close between all of the 3 opponents. So if one game would have gone the other way, it could have definitely easily been that Kmaku would have continued in the lower bracket, and one of the other players would have been eliminated. There were definitely some close games, so it was quite close between those 3. And yeah, for me, the things just went very nicely, which I'm very happy about. And yeah, so I hope it was nice for you to see some games again from this World Championship stage. And then after maybe some 2 weeks or something, maybe there's a chance that the first games from the next stage will be finished, and then of course we will also take a look at some of those games. Alright, then thanks for watching, thanks for following me through this first stage, or it was not the first one, but the first that I showed in this channel. And yeah, thanks for watching, have a nice time, and see you in the next video.